Hello and welcome. I'm Geraldine Wilkins, the Living Water Quilter. Welcome to Quilt Conversations Live. How are you this evening? Did you have a good week? Hello, Sheila, Copper, Marsha. Who else is out there? Lorraine. Hello, Lorraine. Denise. Hello, Denise. How are you? It's good to see you. Let's see if I can get this up. All right, here we go. All right. Who else is out there? Who did I miss? Debbie. Hello, Debbie. Who else is out there? Maddie, how are you? Live by Faith. Welcome. Chris from Texas. So glad you're here. We have kind of a laid back time tonight, not as much as the last couple of weeks. If you weren't here the last few weeks, we've been talking about the practice of practice, how we practice. We talked about mistakes to avoid in machine quilting, and we talked about the 10 steps to stress-free machine quilting. Tonight, we're going to look at a pillow as part of the conversation, the continuing conversation with practice. But you're probably wondering, if you saw the thumbnail, it said, "Love it." Hey, Terry, how are you? Nice to see you here. Awesome. There's Terry. All right. And Chris, so glad you're here. So anyway, how was your week? Did anybody get a chance to sew? I was still doing some paperwork, more computer work, no sewing. I think I'm going to sew tomorrow. I'm putting aside tomorrow to sew. Yes, it's hot here in Virginia. Very hot. Hot, hot. I think we hit 100 today. What else is happening? Um, oh, um, have you noticed that I have a mug, a taffy candy mug? This is my quilt taffy candy, and you can get this mug. I have a link in the YouTube description box below the video where you can get the mug. And the reason why I'm mentioning is they're going to be 10% off next week, starting September 2nd. 10% off everything on my merchandise shop. So if you want to get a mug or a t-shirt, stop by, take a look. Oh, that's right, the hurricane. Oh no. It's so much tragedy happening around the world. It's sad to hear that so many people are suffering. We can just pray for them. Pray for those who have lost homes to fires and those who are escaping from Afghanistan, and the families of the soldiers that were harmed and killed recently in Afghanistan. Our heart goes out to them. We should be praying for them. Hello, Jacqueline. Hello. All right. I am in Fredericksburg, Virginia, Chris, and I have family in Texas, in Houston. Where are you in Houston? Let's see. What else is going on? I think that's it, really. Just the mug and everything 10% off on the website. Yeah. So anyway, do we want to go over the love pillow first, or how about bingo? Which one? You get to vote again. Which one would you ladies like? Yeah, terrible things are happening, Denise. It's really sad situation happening in so many places in the world. And Copper says bingo. Yeah, bingo. All right. Um, how many of you remember Calvin and Hobbes? Do you remember Calvin and Hobbes? Oh, you lived in Herndon, Virginia. You're in Fort Worth area. I'm so glad that you can watch tonight too. Yay! Terry votes for bingo. All right. So, I don't know how many of you follow me on Instagram and Facebook, but I posted a little thing called the Quilters Alphabet. So I took that to bingo tonight. So we're going to look at different phrases that we use in sewing and quilting, and we use letters. And so what you're going to have to do, if you're here for the first time, you just need a piece of paper to play bingo, and I'll show you what you're going to do, but just a piece of paper if you're here for the first time. Hey, Rosemary, how are you? So glad you're here. Yay, Rosemary. And Marsha. Hello, Marsha. Hello. Yes, Calvin Hobbes, epic. Okay, I'm going to share with you later one of my favorite Calvin and Hobbes comic strips. So here we go for bingo. So all you need is a piece of paper. For those of you that are new, 3 lines horizontal and then 3 lines vertical. When you know what the 3 letters mean, or the letters, it could be 3 or 2 letters mean, you're going to put an X. So for instance, you're going to see something like BOM. What is that quilting term? BOM. So I'm giving one away. It's block of the month. So you put an X because you got that right. And don't worry, I'm going to give all the answers at the end. So let me know when you're ready. We're going to do the Quilters Alphabet Bingo tonight. It's 95. That's hot, Marsha. It's been hot, hot, hot. Wow, we got a lot of people that are from or have family in Virginia. Awesome. Ready, Freddie. Copper, last week I saw your note after the broadcast ended that your mom was watching last week and she said hello. So I'm saying hello back. I don't know if you're still with your parents. If you are, hello, mom and dad of Copper. I'm so glad that you can enjoy this Quilt Conversations with her. All right, ready, ready, ready. Here we go. I think almost everyone is ready. All right. Hello, hello, Stephanie. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. You need a piece of paper. We're going to play bingo. Piece of paper, 4 lines across. 3 lines across, 3 lines down gives you a 4x4 grid. And Marsha, you have family in Virginia. Well, it sounds like we can have a family reunion here in Virginia with so many people who have family members here. All right, all right. Okay, here we go, ladies. Quilters Alphabet Bingo. What do the letters stand for? HST. 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 WOW. 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 BOM. I've already shared with you that answer, so we all have at least 1 X, block of the month, for BOM. I was tempted to really use some obscure ones, but I thought, well, The ladies may not guess it if they're too hard. FPP. What does FPP stand for? And SID. 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 PhD. PhD. TOT. So this can have a quilting term, a sewing term, all kinds of things that we do related to sewing and quilting. Tag, TAG, TAG. QAYG. QAYG. WIP. WIP. Okay, is this hard or easy? WST. WST. Hard or easy? RST. QST. Lorraine has bingo. I'm not surprised. Lorraine. QAL. Wilda. Hello, Wilda. I didn't know you were here. Bingo. Awesome. WOF. Denise says kind of hard. Oh, okay. Start sharing the answers in the chat if you know some of the answers. Those who have bingo, share some of the answers. SA. SA. All right. HST. QAYG. WIP. WST. Let me know when you're ready for all the answers. I can put up the answers. Are you ready? Copper got 7. Half square triangle, good. Should I put up the key, the answer key? Are you guys ready? You ladies ready? I can put that up. Or you want to? All right, I'm going to do that. Here you go. Here are the answers. This is the answer key. Now that you see the answers, are they familiar or obvious to you, or some of them are obscure that you didn't know that it was a thing? Okay. Block of the month, foundation paper piecing, half square triangle, projects half done. How many of us have those? I know I do. Projects half done. Quilt as you go. Quilt along. Okay, you didn't know about tag. That was new to me, touch and go. When I was researching this, that was new to me too, Stephanie. Yep, copper, new to me too. Some aren't going to stick. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. With a fabric, I think we use some more than others, like work in progress, right sides together, tone on tone when we're talking about fabric, and white on white. Is that something that you ladies use, white on white? What about projects half done? Is that something that you've used in the past? Hello, Orlando. You have 6 projects. Yep. None of them know we're done. They're nearly done. They're on their way to being done. I end up getting those plastic project totes to put my works in progress in so I can work on them later. And they're all set and ready for a quilt retreat because I have them in those project containers. Yeah. So that was a little different. I think that was fun. There's a really long list. Ah, UFO. That's one I didn't put on there. Haven't started yet. That's another good one, Jacqueline. Yeah, I like that one. That's a good one. All right, very fun. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, I like to have projects all in one container ready to go if I need to. Okay. Uh, Nor PhD, Tot, Tone on Tone, Essay, 3 WIPs here. Okay, yeah. Oh, Rosemary, this was the hardest one yet. Okay, wow. All right. Maybe I should put together the whole list and make it printable. Would you ladies like that? All right. Hello, Sabrina. Sabrina, hello. So glad you're here. Hello. All right. So we are done with bingo. And what I wanted to share with you, I mentioned Calvin and Hobbes. I love Calvin and Hobbes. Um, Many years ago, I'm dating myself now. Every Sunday, we get the Sunday paper and we get the comic strips. We couldn't wait for the paper to be delivered to our house so that we could, on Sunday, read through the paper and go through the comics. And one was Calvin Hobbes. How many of you did that years ago? Who's in the same generation as me or one, I don't know, older than me, maybe? Anyway, Calvin and Hobbes. Love Calvin and Hobbes. So Calvin is a young boy, and if you don't know it, and he has a stuffed animal he calls Hobbes. Yep, okay, you know it. Great, Stephanie. Yet Silly Putty. Yay, that's right. Yes. Yep. Yes. Oh, you remember too, Terry, the excitement of the Sunday paper. Yeah, that's a time gone by years ago. Mama Duke, yes. 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 You remember those. Wow, ladies. Awesome. I don't feel so alone. Well, there's this one strip of Calvin Hobbes, and he's in a sandbox and he's playing. Calvin is playing, and Hobbes says to him, maybe you're familiar with it. He says, "Do you have an idea for your project yet?" And Calvin says, "No, I'm waiting for inspiration. I'm waiting for inspiration." Let's see. So you remember Peanuts? That's another good one. Family Circus. Yes. Yes, good one. And then Garfield. And no spring chicken here. You're funny, Denise. So Calvin is in the sandbox. He's playing, and Hobbes says to him, do you have an idea for your project yet?" And he turns around, he looks at him and says, "No, I'm waiting for inspiration." And he goes, "I can't just turn on creativity like a faucet. you have to be in the right mood. It's not just like turning on the water. You have to be in the right mood. And so, hey, Hobbes gets a clue. So his next question is, what mood is that? If you have to be in the right mood to be inspired, what is that mood? And he says, last minute panic. Last minute panic. It's so funny. I find it to be hilarious because how many of us have been in that situation where we have a project, and whether it's selecting a quilt for a gift for a friend, or deciding on what fabric, or deciding your free motion quilting or machine quilting pattern. Panic. It's a good motivator for you, Copper. Yes. Yeah, it's kind of funny. And the cartoon is so funny. So you have to Google it. As soon as you put it in Google, it'll come up on the images. Just put in Calvin and Hobbes mood, and it comes up. I'm afraid to put it up live for you because it might be copyright infringement. And if you do that, YouTube will just shut me down. So will Facebook. So I don't want to take a chance. So yeah, we can have this last minute panic. Oh no, how am I going to quilt this? And you have a week to do it, a day to do it, or time is short. And sometimes that added pressure helps us to produce. But I want to suggest that, on the other hand, when we have that added pressure, if we already have a toolbox of ideas, patterns, skills, we just have this quilting and sewing toolbox based on the things that we've done, the things we're practicing, that we can draw from for inspiration, right? How many of us do that when we have to work on a project, pick a project, no matter what stage it is, pull from previous experience and maybe add something new? Maybe combine something new with something old to be inspired. What do you think? Do you do that? How do you get inspired? Is it last minute panic like me and Copper? Or do you flip through magazines for inspiration? Do you go to Pinterest? Or do you look at quilts you've made in the past? Yes, that's a great pinup for our sewing room. Last minute panic, Calvin and Hobbes. I just love it. It's so funny. Every time I see it, I laugh. It never gets old. So where do you find inspiration? How do you challenge yourself? Because last week's conversation was all about practice. And I shared with you 7 different ways that we can practice. And a lot of times our practice can be in a quilt sandwich, whiteboard. We talked about that. We talked about small projects like mug rugs and table runners and baby quilts. Okay, let's see. Sewing with others gives you inspiration. Oh, I love that. Yes, it does. Seeing what other people are working on and having a conversation about the latest trends, or hearing about a block of the month or a quilt along. IG, Instagram. She gets inspiration, Stephanie, from Instagram and from others. Okay, a lot of conversation and talking to others and about our individual projects. All right, 2 fiber groups. When you're in a group setting, with other people, whether it's a group or having a conversation with friends. Great. Quilters of Instagram. That's a good one to follow. Hey, Benita, how are you? Glad you're here. We're talking about where we find inspiration for any stage of our quilting journey, whether it's selecting a quilt for a baby project or for a gift, free motion quilting designs, all kinds of things. Where do you find inspiration? Pinterest for copper. Okay. Yeah, 2 fiber groups. That's just wonderful, Denise. That's really a nice place to find inspiration. Yeah, I love that. All right. Awesome, awesome. So that's where the love pillow comes in. And I put love it with a question mark. What do you love about machine quilting, about ruler quilting, about, or what don't you like? Because it's a question mark. Are there things that you just don't like about it? And is it the time that it takes? Is it the number of patterns that you have in your skill set and you want to increase that, but it's taking too long? I think there's this back and forth, this love hate with machine quilting, free motion quilting. It takes time to develop the skill, and truth be told, a lot of us don't have patience, right? So we're going to look at this pillow tonight and how this was part of my machine quilting journey. I was taking a class and I wanted to continue to develop my skills. And in this instance, I'm repeating some skills that I have already started and I'm practicing, like pillows. You find inspiration in your scrap piles. Interesting, Lorraine. Okay. All right. So, and then the other thing is inspiration comes from seeing the techniques from other people, whether it's the instructor or a friend or someone in a group. You're like, wow, I want to learn how to dye fabric, or I've never tried that thread before. And you're inspired when you see someone else. And so that can move us on that meter of love hate when we get inspired from someone who has done something in machine quilting, free motion, or ruler quilting that inspires us, and so we move toward the love part of free motion. And then we might go back towards the I don't like free motion when we run into difficulty or we're not getting the results that we want. So this pillow, the love pillow, was part of a class where I wanted to learn how to layer free motion quilting designs to create a layering effect. So I'll just take you through that. Okay. I think we piece more often than quilt, so we get more practice with piecing. That's true. I would agree with that, Copper. Absolutely. Aha. So Stephanie says she does have a love-hate relationship with free motion quilting. She truly wants to do it and she sees improvement. However, I learn best when I have a live instructor where I can learn and be corrected. Oh, Stephanie, I miss that. I miss in-person teaching. As much as I enjoy our Friday time together, I miss being in the classroom, being able to watch the student stitch and say, okay, Dina, this is the problem I'm having. Look, when I do this, why is that happening? And then I could look at their machine, how it's set up, how the thread's being delivered, and we can have a conversation about the whole machine setup, and I can watch. I miss that. I agree. Thank you, Copper. I'm glad you like it. Oh, Denise, you don't like piecing? Okay. All right, here we go. This was part of my journey to learn to stitch feathers. And part of the stitching the feathers, I already had done a series of practice samples of feathers, but I put it also in this project. So remember, I always say repeat, 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 repeat. Okay, just recently got started. And all right, wonderful. I'm so glad. Yay. Thank you. So when I'm learning, or you are learning a design, you want to not only learn how to stitch it, but learn how to stitch it in various directions, different scales, different sizes, small, medium, large, and within different shapes. So I'm doing feathers inside of a heart. So that's what the feathers look like inside the heart. So I did 3 feathers and stitched some really tiny, tiny micro stitching in between each feather to make sure that those feathers really stood out. Yes, sectioning it off. It's so important. And filling in the space. That's the other thing when we're learning machine quilting, is that we can learn the design, but then when we start to implement it inside a quilt, the shapes will vary. And so we want to practice in different shapes. Yes, that micro stitching can take forever, but it's well worth it. Thank you. I'm so glad you like it. So now, you ladies know who've been here before, I always have stages, right? Step by step by step by step. So the first thing was doing my feather spines, stitching each feather, and then the next step was filling in the micro stitching. Now, the goal of this pillow was to do a layering effect with free motion. Oh, hello, Copper's parents. You're here again. So glad you could be here tonight. Awesome. Okay, so next, let's see. Here we go. Here's the layering, the start of the layering. I put a square around the heart, echoed that square, and then some ribbon. Oh, Copper, you're so funny. You look like a sick bird. Hello, Wilda. Wilda saying hello to your parents. That's sweet. Hey, Chris, how are you? Thank you. I didn't know you were there. Thank you very much. All right. All right. Okay, let's see. I'm just checking the comments if you see me looking over. I don't want to miss anyone. Okay, so you ladies see how I did a ribbon, and a ribbon is actually very easy to do. You just do some curving lines, and then you echo a portion of it, then break out of the echo by crossing the previous one and then echo on the opposite side. So you do a curve, then you begin to echo, but you don't echo completely. You cross over and then echo on the other side. So you're echoing on the bottom, and then you cross the line and echo on the top to create the ribbon. And so, since this was the love pillow, I took a verse out of the Bible, 1 Corinthians 13:13, and now abide faith, hope, and love, these three. But the greatest of these is love. And guess what? I stitched that verse in that narrow section of the square, of the frame. So the two squares, one square that's echoed, created the frame. And so I stitched those words inside the frame. All right. Let's see, can we see that a little bit? Here's a close-up of the ribbon, the way I described to you how you do a curve. Then you begin to echo and then cross over so that the echo is on the top and on the bottom to create the ribbon. Okay. Do I have another? I thought I have another one. I think I have another one to show you some words. Oh, here it is. That's that. Okay, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Can you see that? It's kind of faint. It's kind of small, but you can see faith, hope, and love in the corner of the frame. And look at how the ribbon was created. All right. Yeah, that's okay. Going off topic is fine. Thanks, Denise. So ribbon looks fancy and difficult, but it's really easy. It's not hard to do. And then once you end the stitching, all you need to end to connect and finish the ribbon is one straight line from one end of one line to the other. Okay? So also notice how the frame is hidden behind the ribbon on both sides. Do you see that, ladies? Yeah. Yes, the frame crossing the ribbon. So that's part of the layering that I mentioned to you that I was learning how to do. So I'm learning how to layer free motion quilting so we have this front and back. But also I'm practicing how to stitch words, I'm practicing feathers, and I'm practicing that micro stitching. All right. Okay. And of course, I did practice ahead of time. I practiced all the words on a quilt sandwich before I did it on the pillow. Okay. This is what the back looks like. The next stage was creating a grid for the complete background. And so you can see the grid on the back. You can see the feathers, the ribbon, and the words that are stitched. I need something to drink here, excuse me. What weight thread did I use? And I did put that in the description. I think I did. Let me see. No, I didn't. I'm going to have to, I think it was 40 weight thread. Let me look it up real quick. It's on my website, livingwaterquilter.com. supplies. It's in the archive. I did this way back in, I think, 2015. Okay, Terry has the questions. Did you do the feathers free motion? Yes, free motion. All of this was done before I ever used rulers to free motion quilt. This is way back in 2015 before I started using free motion quilting rulers. So all this is freehand. All freehand. All right, let's see. All right, so I use Glide 40 weight thread called Cool Gray, and I use Superior So Fine 50 weight thread. So I use two different threads. Glide 40 weight and Superior threads So Fine 50 weight. But mostly the Glide. So here's what it looks like on the front. Are you catching the layering and the stages? I did that grid, and in between each box, alternating boxes, we have some micro stitching. Yes, when you look at the pillow as in a whole, as the whole thing, it looks difficult. It looks hard. But once you go step by step, it does help to see that it's possible. And guess what? If you could do the same pillow but not do feathers because you're still practicing feathers or you haven't started feathers. Maybe there's another design that you want to fill it with. Maybe you don't want feathers. Maybe you want to put words in there. It's up to you. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Copper. Thank you, ladies. And so you can see also the batting. You can see some of the wool batting that's behind that's helping to give that puffiness. So the combination of the double batting, either, it depends on how much texture I want. There's a number of ways that I'll get texture. Either I'll use just wool or poly only, or if I want to have the quilt be really stable so that it can rest against the wall or something, I'll have a low loft cotton with the wool or poly on top. That thin or low loft cotton helps give it structure. Then on top of that, the micro stitching around the quilting also helps to emphasize the texture, the puffiness. All that combined. All right. Loving that texture. So nice. All right, let's see. Here we go. Now, remember, Terry asked if I did any ruler quilting. Again, this was before I started ruler quilting. So the background that's behind the ribbon, that's behind the heart, are straight lines. And so I drew the straight lines with a water-soluble marker. And I free motion quilted those straight lines very slowly, very carefully. So I drew the lines ahead of time and I practiced to do the lines in the background. In this photo, I think you can see more of that layering. All right. Again, this was a practice, an experiment to increase my skills. And by doing that, I learned what I need to practice more I learn what I like and what I don't like, and that can even include the thread. And so with every project, we can add to our inspiration toolbox, right? Yeah, so glad we have rulers now. Yeah, there's so many modern tools that really help us. Yeah, that is so true. Okay, so that's what it looks like, all finished before it became a pillow. That is the end of all the quilting. I enjoyed the process. I like the layering. I think if I were to do this again, I might change the background. Yeah, planning is it's always sometimes we can plan every step from beginning to end, or we can start with steps 1 and 2, and then as we're quilting, we might find we're inspired to go in another direction or to add another element that we didn't think of until we started quilting. So don't think you have to have every single step, especially when you're experimenting and just having fun on small projects. You don't have to have it all figured out. Terry, they look like chicken feet. You're so funny. All of you ladies with your expressions. That Terry, I'm glad you have two fantastic goals. You have thread and feathers, and you're going to have fun. You will. It's just going to be a blast. And there's so many different ways to make feathers. When I started my journey, and I recommend this for anyone who wants to embark on feathers, is to see how many different feather styles there are. There are several styles. And then there's several ways that you can stitch feathers, meaning you can stitch the spine up and then work your way down with the feather plumes, or you can start at the top of the spine and then stitch your feather plumes going up. You might find one or the other is easier for you to do. Me too. And I have to thank all of you ladies who are so willing to share your projects here on Quilt Conversations Live. I think it's an encouragement to others who are watching when they see you implement some of the tips that you learn here and that you're getting success and putting them in real quilts and real projects. I think Terry, when she has time, is going to share with us her big quilt of all of the blocks. I think it was 25. I keep forgetting, Terry. I think it was 25, not 35, or maybe it was 35 blocks you did for this quilt, and all of them you quilted differently. And so I can't wait to see the pictures that you take for that quilt. All right. So someone asked about my favorite ruler, or were you talking amongst each other about that? I think I saw a comment. If you're a beginner, I like to start with and recommend a simple straight edge with a gentle curve. And Westerly Design makes one called the 12-inch arc. I love that ruler. That's one of the ruler classes that I teach for beginners, and I teach 9 different designs on the curved side and 9 different designs on the straight edge. It's an amazing, versatile ruler. Okay, so Terry, you says yes. Okay, 25 blocks. It was a sampler. Oh, wonderful! You finished the photos. Yay, Terry. All right, so maybe in a couple of weeks, ladies, Terry will allow us to see some of the work that she's done on this on the quilt. I think was it maybe 3 or 4 Quilt Conversations ago, we had the chance to look at some of the early blocks. So here's the final pillow again. So yeah, this is one of my early pillows, and you can tell too because it has the corners are very pointy. I've learned to round those off a little bit. Um, n- um, I could use a serpentine ruler for the ribbons. Yeah, copper, I could do that. I think it's nice to have rulers, and sometimes it makes it really simple. But there are times when you begin to develop a skill and you're so good at it and comfortable because you've practiced and practiced and practiced to now shift and learn how to do that same design or technique with a ruler. That's something else you have to learn. And an example of that, let me just do questions. We can ask questions here. So an example of that is many years ago, I started quilting in the ditch, freehand, free motion. And I thought I could not do it because it seemed impossible. How can I have that much control? But I practiced. And so I got better and better at it. I can actually stitch in the ditch better and more consistently when I do it with my own hands than I do sometimes with a ruler. And it depends on the size of the project that I might just stick with it doing it freehand. But I guess with doing the ribbon with a ruler, I might try a serpentine ruler. It just depends on the wave, the curve of that serpentine. Every serpentine ruler is different. Some are deep curves and some are shallow. And so the ribbon will be dependent upon the shape of that ruler. So why aren't you displaying if you're ready to display? Okay, let's see. Let's see if it will load. All right. It's not coming up. Ah, there we go. Hey, Lois, welcome. No worries. Okay, good. You'll be watching the replay. We talked about inspiration and where do we find inspiration? Do we find inspiration? I think the most common form of inspiration is that we find it with each other in groups. We find it through social media. We find it on Pinterest. We find it through friends in conversation. Yes, I probably, Copper would have used a ruler for those straight lines. Definitely. Yes. I may, if it's a really tight area and it's small, I might do it freehand myself because the distance isn't long, but I definitely would have done that. Yeah. Any other questions about practice? The practice of practice, how you are incorporating regular machine practice in your everyday projects? You don't need a special time to practice. You can have a special time to practice and create a practice routine, but also think about practicing machine quilting with every project. Give yourself a way to practice on your regular projects. Don't always take the safe route is basically what I'm saying. Try something a little bit different with each one so that you can grow. Yeah, mandalas are very popular. Hey, Catherine, how are you? I'm so glad you're here. Yay! You'll watch the replay. We were talking about inspiration. Where do we find inspiration? And Catherine's doing so well in the free motion, the alphabet class. Let's see, Terry. In previous lesson, you've had a list of tips which are very good to follow. Are they available for YouTube or website? Otherwise, I'll go back and look at the videos. Terry, if you're in the you are in the Stitching Lane Society membership, and I did give the tips, the 10 tips for stress-free machine quilting, and so that was a handout for members, and you can download that sheet. And then I gave a list last week, which is not a handout, for 7 ways to practice. Is that the one you're talking about? 7 different ways. There was a heading of 7 different ways, and under each heading I had multiple examples for each way to practice. Maybe that's what you're talking about, since the conversation is about practice. I will be creating a special handout for the next meeting on that list for those of you that are in Stitching Lane Society. All right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Any other questions? We had some really deep conversations the last 3 sessions. Mistakes to avoid. What fears do you have with machine quilting? Now's the time to ask some questions about that. Why do you hesitate? What's some of your hesitation in free motion quilting? Is it selecting needles or thread? And then we talked about not being afraid to make mistakes. That was 2 Fridays ago. If you haven't seen that video, go and watch the replay. I talk about a lot of good tips about how to avoid those mistakes, fear, hesitation, and the fear of making mistakes. Don't let those stop you from learning free motion quilting and having fun. Terry, yes on both. Okay. So, Terry, go to the dashboard, our membership dashboard, and you can find the PDF to download the 10 steps to stress-free. And then the next meeting, I'm going to have a handout for the 7 different ways to practice. Okay, and that's for Stitching Lane Society members. So if you haven't watched those videos, go take a look at that. There's a lot of good tips there. Oh, you saw the EQ article. That was the other news item I wanted to share with you ladies. I use electric quilt to design quilts for myself, for magazines, for projects, for fabric panels. And they contacted me a couple of months ago because they're celebrating 30 years of helping quilters design quilts. And they asked if I would be one of their 30 friends, and they did a blog post on how and why I use electric quilt, how I got started. So go to their website, electricquilt.com, and you'll see I was the blog post for this week. You'll learn that it was my sisters, both older than me, Lillian and Roberta, 6 and 7 years older, who introduced me to sewing. They sewed their clothing. However, I did not learn how to do that. I was not very good. I eventually moved to home decor. So anyway, they have that in the article. Go check it out. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. Catherine, you could not find the PDF. Okay, those in Stitching Lane Society, I sent out an email. I also put a post in our private membership chat. Look in the private membership chat. I have an image, a photo of exactly where to go to find the PDF. It's in the meeting replay. And when you click on August, it'll open up the video replay. Then you'll see some text, and underneath the text, you'll see the PDF. All right. Awesome. Thanks, Copper. Yay. Awesome, awesome. It does come from many, many, many places. That is so true. Yeah. And I have another pattern coming out soon. 2 patterns in 2 different magazines. And so when they come out, I'll let you know if I remember. But if someone sees it before me and I forget to tell you, let me know. So I think our time is about done. We are finished unless anyone has any additional questions. I'm so glad you were here, and those who are watching the replay, I'm so glad that you have made it this far. That means you've played alphabet bingo with us. You've learned about quilt inspiration, how we each find it, and you learned a little bit about how I use this pillow, the love pillow, to practice layering techniques for free motion quilting. We find inspiration in a lot of different places, and we use a lot of different projects to practice machine quilting. All right, Copper's parents, I'm so glad you were here with us again. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, everyone. It's really been wonderful to spend time with you again. So I hope you get a chance to sew. And spending time with family is also a blessing to have these days. Not everyone's able to do that. So if you can spend time with family, do so. I will probably sew. I'm going to sew this weekend. Yes, that's my plan. I've had computer work all week and I think I'm going to sew. So don't forget to give this a thumbs up, to share it with others who you think might be inspired, and it might help them in their machine quilting journey. And if you don't already, follow me on Instagram and Facebook. There you will see content on an almost daily basis, and we get a chance to interact with one another. I think I'm going to look for you, Orlando. I think you said you're on Instagram. I'll look for you. Is that your Instagram handle, or do you go by something else? All right. All right, Terry, great. You found it. Awesome. Thank you, Wilda. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So glad you could be here. Awesome. Good night. Good night. All right, I always feel like I'm forgetting something. I told you about. Oh, don't forget about the discount for the merchandise. You can find that link on the website to Living Water Quilter mugs, t-shirts, etc. What else? That sale starts September 2nd. Those in SLS, go watch the replay if you missed our monthly meeting, and check the membership private chat to find out how to find the meeting if you don't know where it's at, where you can watch the video and then download the PDF. All right. All right. Goodbye, Catherine. Okay, great. You'll add me and then I can add you. Wonderful. Wonderful. All right, Jacqueline. Yay. Good night. Who did I miss? I guess Sheila must have. Oh, there's Sheila. All right, Sheila. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay cool. It's been hot here in Virginia. All right, ladies. I'm going to say good night for real. Yeah, I'll see you next week.